over the Sea of Japan, as cool conditions persist, you'll find something to whet your appetite.
Hello there. Well, recently Bolivia has actually managed to stay dry after those mudslides. The last 24 hours or so haven't been too bad. There's not a great deal of cloud showing up here at all. I think as we head through the next couple of days, we are going to see a return to the showery conditions, but the showers shouldn't be too heavy here. I think the wetter weather will actually be towards the east. You can see these dark blues here around Rio and the Sao Paulo area. And here we're going to see torrential downpours as we head through the next couple of days. For Buenos Aires, though, here it should be dry. It'll be hot, though, all the way up at 31 degrees. Now, recently, for Cape Town, it's been pretty hot here as well, but things are all going to change for us as we head through the next few days. More clouds going to be bubbling up here, and some heavy thundery downpours are likely, particularly late on during the day. Meanwhile, further north, we've got our usual rash of showers here, stretching from Angola all the way across towards Madagascar. And Madagascar and Mozambique are going to be seeing some of the heaviest showers here. Now, a bit further north, and here in Doha, our weather's not too humid at the moment, but it certainly is blustery, and it's going to be another windy one as we head through Thursday. A top temperature then of 24 degrees, but there will be a certain amount of haze around and cloud as well, and that cloud thickens up as it works its way across Pakistan and towards the northern parts of India, where we're seeing quite a bit of snow.
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
He's taken stolen goods and he's now dumping them onto the world without any sort of consideration for consequences.
From people making the news.
If the North will be saved a lot of trouble, I think it is important that they should come together.
To those it affects.
We do accept that there was very bad mistakes made in our banking area.
Behind the headlines.
Most South Koreans are not interested in reunification.
Is the inside story. At this time on Al Jazeera.
Welcome back to top stories on Al Jazeera. 2 US airmen are killed and another 2 servicemen injured after a man armed with a handgun attacked a bus carrying the troops at Frankfurt Airport. Police have arrested a 21-year-old from Kosovo. The US Army has filed an additional 22 counts against Bradley Manning. The soldier already faces 12 charges in connection with providing thousands of classified government documents to the WikiLeaks website. There's been heavy fighting in the Libyan town of Breka. The area was attacked by pro-Gaddafi forces in a major counter-offensive to take back lost territory. But Gaddafi's troops were apparently unable to take control of the oil port. Well, that happened as Muammar Gaddafi once again publicly defended himself. Addressing journalists, he played on Western fears by comparing Libya to Somalia.
If Libya doesn't exist anymore, then there will be destruction in the Mediterranean. The gas pipes that pass through the region will be destroyed, and so will the electrical power connection, and bin Laden, the pirates, and the Somalis will come, and the jihad will move from the north of Africa to Europe.
Interestingly, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton made the same comparison while addressing the U.S. Senate Foreign Relations Committee.
We don't know the outcome of this. We don't know these players. You know, we faced a similar situation in the Balkans where there were many, many reasons why it was not viewed with favor that we would set up a no-fly zone for a lot of the similar reasons, the difficulty of it, the maintenance of it, the appearance of it. And eventually it was determined that it was in the interests of the peace and stability of the region, et cetera. I think that we are a long way from making that decision. One of our biggest concerns is Libya descending into chaos and becoming a giant Somalia. It's right now not something that we see in the offing, but many of the al-Qaeda activists in Afghanistan and later in Iraq came from Libya.
And the humanitarian crisis is worsening. The UN says as many as 180,000 people have fled Libya through its borders with Egypt and Tunisia. These were scenes on the Tunisian side of the border on Wednesday, where tens of thousands remain stranded. Most of them are Egyptians trying to get out. Some nations have already started airlifting refugees back to their home countries. The UN is carrying out most of the relief work. It says food and tents are its biggest priorities. Now, the head of Tunisia's Islamist Ennahda movement says his group could help to form an interim government. Speaking in Turkey, Rashid Ghannouchi said he's ready to take part in elections if the conditions are right. Tunisia's interim government is looking fragile after a spate of recent resignations. Nazneen Mushiri reports from Tunis.
This is where you can feel Tunisia's political mood. These young people have been camping here for weeks. The latest top resignations have made little difference. They don't just want those in power out, they want a complete overhaul of the system.
We want a transitional council because the interim government represents the Ben Ali era and we want a parliamentary system.
The people say they are not responsible for these violent scenes from the weekend. A group called Takriz, which means anger, has claimed responsibility and is promising more trouble. All of this has left Tunisia's interim government very weak. One party that could play a role is Ennahda, an Islamist movement legalized for the first time in 20 years. Its exiled leader, Rashid Ghannouchi, could be a real political player.
Ennahda is the most structured party and has the largest network of people. But Ennahda, like all the parties here, does not have a political program.
A key date for all involved is March 15th. That's when the caretaker president's term ends. If he stays, it makes Tunisia's constitution null and void. If he goes, then the army will have to step in.
Tunisians have got used to seeing army out on the streets. It's soldiers, not police, who maintain security here. If the political situation isn't resolved in the next few weeks, there is a real possibility this country could be under military rule until the next election is called.
It was the uprising here in Tunisia that inspired people from around the world. But building a democracy in a country which suffered from years of dictatorship is not going to be easy. Nazneen Mushiri, AlJazeera, Tunis.
Security in Côte d'Ivoire is deteriorating as fighting continues between President Laurent Gbagbo forces and supporters of his rival Alassane Ouattara. Thousands of people have been trying to flee the violence. The UN says conditions are dire with supplies of food, water, gas and petrol running low. International radio broadcasts are also being jammed. Imran Khan reports now on how some Ivorians have found refuge in one of Abidjan's churches.
Finally, a chance to smile and to sing for some. This is St. Ambroise Church, Abidjan. But instead of spiritual healing, it's medical healing in this makeshift refugee camp. Thousands have fled